live. I am super excited to be on here. We had some technical difficulties that kept us from getting on right away, but give me a like or a thumbs up if you are seeing this or a heart. I'm really grateful to be here today. Hi Raquel, thanks for joining. Give me a thumbs up or a like or something if you are hearing my voice okay. Really grateful to be here today to share some information with you to help you continue to optimize your mental health while you are at home during these times. So right now is a time where so many of us have a lot of stressors, have a lot coming in, and have just a lot of different changes going on. So I'll share a few things about how to not only manage that, but how to optimize it. So you really are getting the most that you possibly can, and as much as possible, actually thriving during this time, so that you have a positive impact on your own health as well as that of the people that you have an influence upon. Okay, so a couple of announcements before we get started. The first one is in order to continue to support you in all ways possible, we have a Facebook group that we have created. It is for people in the Duluth area who would like to continue to optimize their health and well-being. So it's called Optimizing Wellness Duluth. You can search for that or find it right here on our page under the group setting. So get in that group, join right away. You definitely are going to want to be a part of that group where we can all together share strategies, share resources, share ways of connecting with one another, and even better ways that help us thrive during this time. This group is for people who are committed to continuing to optimize their health right now and always. Another announcement is this Friday, 12 o'clock, we'll be doing another Facebook Live similar to this one, but at 12 o'clock noon. That will be on resiliency during trying times. So definitely some information to help yourself. Again, not only, I often say it's not about not having stress in your life, it's about your ability and your nervous system's ability to adapt to that stress. So we'll be sharing some ways and opportunities to expand that part of your strategies and abilities. And finally, as a resource for all of you, before we get started here and get sharing this information for you to be optimizing your mental health, a past event that we just did this Tuesday, great event. It's one of our most popular lunch and learns, and it was the time to do it right now again. It was the Taming the Stress Monster. So we did a virtual sort of brown bag lunch and learn. So we will actually be continuing to share that for anyone who's interested. And so if you would like to, even though if you missed the event, we did do a recording of that online event, so you can still access it. And if you would like that, or if you know someone else who you believe would really appreciate that information, I will have Melly either now or after this live is over, post in the comments a link to the Eventbrite for you to sign up to do that. We do want to get those recordings out to everyone who is registered for the event. And so if you would like to register for that, please do that by 5 o'clock tomorrow. So by 5 o'clock on Thursday, so that we can have everyone's names and get that recording out to everyone so people can be getting this information right away. All right. So without further ado, let's jump into the material. This, again, is a time where we're going inside and everything that we consider normal is not normal anymore. And one thing that I believe would really help and support us all. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Melly. Thanks for jumping on. One thing that's going to, I think, really just as a baseline support us all right now is just recognizing what we previously considered normal will no longer be normal. So just letting go of whatever normalcy we believe that we had in the past. Hi, Reba. Thanks for joining. And once you let go of that, what you think is normal, that in and of itself will help soften the need to try to find that same normalcy that was amidst what isn't that, if that makes sense. So starting from that place. So the other piece is we are all going inside, and that's having a big impact for a lot of people already on their mental health. Strategies to have the best and most optimized health, and we will do other versions of this. We're focusing on mental health right now, although I believe that just about anything that you can do for your health is going to impact your mental health as well. Okay, so the first thing that is maybe the most important thing that I'll start with and I'll end with is to really, right now, just thinking of the neurology of stress and the neurology of scarcity right now during this time. When we're in a time where we have fear, literally fear for our lives, literally fear of will there be enough? Will there be enough time, money, resources available for me to survive? Really, there's actually, I think most of us aren't necessarily afraid of life or death, although certainly this current epidemic is having a lot of conversation come up around that as well. But there's the same reaction that happens in our body, whether it's an actual life or death fear, or it's just, am I going to have enough toilet paper? There's a scarcity there. And we have that same experience in our body. So one of the most important things that we can do, number one, we do need to get our basic needs taken care of. So that is very important during this time, that we are coming up with a plan, making sure that we're set in whatever way we can, even though, we don't necessarily have any answers. This right now, I will say, is a time for asking the questions. This is not a time for having the answers. And the reality is none of us have the answers. Okay, so looking to anyone or anything, or hoping or expecting that anyone has the answers, we're doing the best we can with the resources that we have available, and we're all coming up with the answers that we're able to. And a lot of it is about just knowing that there are no answers. There's no one answer, and there are no answers in some cases. So as we are in that space of recognizing that, also knowing that, as far as the scarcity of resources and that type of thing, really thinking about, number one, do the best you can to have your needs met in whatever way you need to. And then number two, from there, start thinking about other people. Okay, so we're talking about the neurology of that survival brain mechanics. What happens when we're in that survival mode is we're thinking, I need to pay attention to myself because that is how I will survive. And as soon as you flip the switch and you say, I'm going to think of someone else, I'm going to reach out to someone else, I'm going to think of who could really use someone right now. I'm going to think of who I can help, what community organizations I can support. As soon as you switch to that mindset of thinking of someone else before yourself, that will have a massive impact, not only on, obviously, our ability to support one another, but on your own mental health. Because you're already talking about, and we talked about this in the stress monster lunch and learn as well. As soon as you switch outside of thinking about yourself, that automatically is flipping a switch in your brain, where now your brain is thinking, okay, I must not be in a dire survival situation because I'm thinking of someone else. And so that will switch you out of that fight or flight mode, so that you're actually able to also have better health and better mental health for yourself. Okay, so that is the first tip. The second tip is, as we come home, what we're going to be doing a whole lot is we're going to be reaching out and making connections over the internet, online, on our devices, on our computers, on our phones. And that will be essential for us to be using those resources to find community. We're looking at community and connection, social community and connection amidst social distancing. So really finding ways to do that. But here's the important part. Make sure that you are using those devices and you're not letting them use you. Okay, so this is a big conversation just in our world right now anyway. It's really easy to just check out and go on your Facebook stream or on your news stream and spend lots of time there and realize that right now is an extraordinary opportunity for us to be going inside, looking at our lives, reevaluating, thinking about some of these bigger picture things. And when we're spending all of our time on our devices mindlessly, that really is taking away from that. So what I would recommend is taking time in silence and solitude away from those devices, creating intentional time, scheduling time, doing whatever it takes, where you are pen and paper, you are face-to-face with your family, you make a no device time with your family. So really it is just you and your mind and whatever activities, maybe it's playing a board game or putting together a puzzle or whatever the case may be. Also, as we are going to be face-to-face with all our family members all the time, creating conscious opportunities to be in solitude just by yourself in order to be able to refuel yourself. Even if you're not feeling real stressed, just being constantly face-to-face so much more all of a sudden will have an impact. So recognizing that you do still need, if that time that you would have been driving in your car home from work to home, you don't have that now. So just recognizing that and consciously creating opportunities to do that. Okay, the other part of that is get outside. This is going to be so important for us to get outside. Get the sunlight, get the fresh air, even if it means just walking around your house once or twice. Go on a hike, get into nature as many times a day really as you can. At least once a day. If you are, halfway through the day and you're realizing you haven't even left your house today, which will very easily happen for a lot of us, really just say, okay, what am I going to do to get outside today? At least one time, if not several. People who have dogs that they need to walk are very lucky for this reason, because at least that dog is going to pull them out. The rest of us have to be a little bit more conscious about it. Along the same lines, move your body, whether you're outside or inside, get your body moving. This is important, obviously, for your health and in the sense of exercise and movement. This is also hugely important for your health from a perspective of your nervous system, of your of just the hormones that are going through your body. Every single part of your mental health is hugely affected by that movement. And so creating conscious opportunities, even if it's setting an alarm in your phone and saying, okay, 10 squats or 100, 100 sit-ups or 10 push-ups or whatever the case may be, so that you have those little movement breaks. It's going to make a big deal. I really don't want to see people's bodies starting to break down because they're sitting on the couch or at their desk in front of their computer or on their phones all day. That really does have a massive impact. As a chiropractor, I can tell you, on your spine, a really huge impact. So creating opportunities for movement, whether it's putting on a yoga video or an exercise video or whatever the case may be, finding a way to get some movement into your day. Also, as you're creating movement, as you're creating solitude, taking some time for conscious reflection. So I mentioned this earlier, but really taking conscious time. Now is the time. The collective consciousness of our world right now is supporting doing exactly that. So do it, okay? Right now, do it. Take time to journal. Get rid of the device and write in the journal. Write about all of it. Who do you want to be right now? What do you want to manifest in the world, in your life right now? So taking the times, even just to get your thoughts on paper and away from a device is going to be huge. One of my favorite books is The Miracle Morning, and he talks about sort of the morning, miracle morning practices. He calls them the life savers. So S is for silence, so meditation, affirmation, prayer. A is for affirmation. V is for visualization. E is for exercise, R is for reading. So fine, pick up a book that you've been wanting to read for forever and decide to do that. And then also that journaling piece to go along with it. So like I said, right now, people are really using this opportunity when they're amidst this incredible phenomenon that's going on in our world right now. A lot of fear going on right now, but what that's doing is us learning, helping us learn to focus on what it is that we love and what we really appreciate and really what our values are. So Reba says the Duluth Playhouse is live streaming their dance classes on Facebook. That's cool. So, you know, you can have an opportunity to maybe even learn a new dance that you never would have done before. Maybe you were always too embarrassed to go to that class and step on other people's feet, and now you can do it from the comfort of your own home. So really great opportunities. So right now, people are really looking inside. They're looking at their values, and they're saying, what is most important to me right now? As they do that, really the question that you want to be asking is, who do I want to be in my life? Who do I want to be? It's so easy to go through our entire life and let life guide us and let our circumstances guide us and let one thing lead to another, let one distraction, you know, lead to another, and never really get to the things that we most deeply want to do and the person we most deeply want to be. So spending the time to do that, and spending the time to do that in two ways. Number one, who do you want to be in the future? 10 years from now, 20 years from now, when you're looking back at this situation in the new world that we're in on the other side of this, who is the person that you want to be? How do you want that to look? Okay, if you have someone talking about you, if you were an old, you know, man or woman, and you know a friend of yours is talking about your life when you were younger, when you are the age you are now, what do you want them to be saying about you and to have said about you? These are the kind of questions you want to be asking to really be thinking about that. So what do you want to be, who do you want to be in your health? What are the things in your health? What are the smallest things that are going to have the biggest amount of impact that you can do right now for your health? If you thought and you took a pen and a paper right now, I bet you know exactly what the answer to that is. What is the single thing that you could do right now that have the biggest impact on your health? Write it down and make it happen. Now is the time to make it happen. Okay, in whatever way you're able to from home. And if you can't do it from home, put a plan into place of how you're going to make that happen when you don't have to be at home anymore. Okay. Number two, wealth. Who do you want to be in wealth? And that doesn't just mean in financial wealth, although that is an important part of right now. Taking the time right now financially to be looking at, am I putting my money and spending my money where I want it to be? Am I financially healthy? And that has nothing to do with your income necessarily, although maybe it does, but that has a lot to do with just how you're spending money as well. So having the opportunity to look at your financial diet as well as everything else. And then the third thing is contribution. So are you contributing to and in the world in the way that you would like to, in the way that you feel proud of, in the way that you can say, I am being the person that I want to be? What excuses are getting in the way of you doing that? And what things can you do right now, even given limited circumstances, even given real scarcity that may be in your life? What can you be doing in your life right now to make a contribution to the world we're living in, to make an impact on humanity, one person at a time or in a really massive way, however that looks for you? Okay, so thinking about the future, and right now designing the future that you want. You can think about if a farmer is in their field and they're going with their tractor down the same tracks over and over and over and over again and digging those tracks and digging those tracks. That's how a lot of us are living and operating in our lives. But as soon as you turn the wheel a quarter an inch right now to get out of those tracks, it doesn't seem like a whole lot right now. It's these small actions, that quarter inch turn, that years down the road, you can be miles from where you would have been had you just stayed the same. Now is the time to be doing that. So number 2, deciding who you want to be now. So not in the future, not in 10 years, not in 30 years. Who do you want to be now? How do you want to show up in the world right now? So there's so many ways to respond to our current circumstances, and realizing and recognizing that some are more helpful than others. Some are more helpful for our mental health than others. All right, so 3 of the biggest, the most non-conducive actions for our mental health are the 3 C's: criticism, complaining, and competition for resources. Right now, thinking criticism, competition, and complaining. None of those are going to serve us right now. So that doesn't mean that giving real feedback in a constructive way isn't helpful. That doesn't mean that looking at the ways that we can best be doing things isn't helpful. And that doesn't mean making sure that you're able to take care of yourself. But we all know there's a lot that's been going on in the world today, and it happens in our physiology that when we're competing for resources, that when we're criticizing and complaining, we're not really adding any positive energy into the world. So show up right now as the person who you want to be now. I invite you to really look deeply at who that is. And the best way that you can do that is by really saying, what are my values? And are the actions that I'm taking right now in this moment reflective of my highest values? And get real with yourself about that. And the more that you do that and the more that you practice that, the more that you will find you are in alignment with your truest and highest values. And your confidence will shine. Your self-worth will grow. And your ability to show up in the world and have an influence in the way that will make a difference in other people's lives will massively improve for the better. Okay, so as a part of all of that, what do you want to accomplish for yourself, for others, in your life, in your health, in your wealth, and in your contribution? And then make a plan. Make a plan. Okay, so as soon as you have these ideas, you sit down and you journal and you think, you make a personal mission statement and you say, this is how and who I want to be. That is only good as the moment you spent doing it until you come up with a plan of how that's going to happen. So creating actionable steps, breaking that down into how can I actually do that right now? What is it going to take for me to do that? And I love this tip about visualization, because we often think of visualization as visualizing the outcome, the positive outcome in the way that it's going to come about. What I'm going to invite you to do is actually to do that, but more importantly, maybe even, is to visualize the obstacles in your path to that vision manifesting itself. Visualize the obstacles in your path to that vision manifesting itself. And you may say to yourself, well, Lara, why do I want to visualize the obstacles? Isn't that going to discourage me? Well, hopefully not. Actually, what we find and what the science finds is that when you visualize those obstacles in your path, and more importantly, visualize you overcoming those obstacles. That's way more important than just being at that vision where you just feel good and happy as though you're already there, and then you really don't even have to try. And then when one of those obstacles comes, it's a deterrent and it gets in your way and it never happens. Okay, so actually visualizing those obstacles and then visualizing yourself overcoming those obstacles as those come about. All right, so make a plan, visualize your plan, make it measurable. So break down into those tiny components, and that visualization is an important part of how to break that down, okay? So that visualization is an important part of when you visualize those obstacles. You can say, well, I can see that this is a potential obstacle in my path. This is something that I always run into when I try to change my diet, or this is something I always run into whenever I make a choice to start being more positive in my life. So seeing what those obstacles are and then saying, okay, what is it going to take for me to deal with those obstacles? What is it going to take for me to overcome those things in my life so I can actually accomplish these goals that I have? So when you do that, and when you break it down into those small measurable steps, into those tiny parts, it makes it much more doable. And here's the third thing: activate. Activate. Make it happen. And the best way of doing that, schedule it. Schedule it. So when 2 o'clock rolls around or 7:30 rolls around and it's time for you to do that thing, and you're sitting there on your phone, on your Facebook feed or your news feed, you can break that cycle of everything staying the same, everything, being in that rut, rut that the tractor is making, and deciding right now, this moment, it's on the schedule, I'm going to turn the wheel. This is when it's going to happen. So that's when you get to make the choice and really make a difference. And I'll tell you, probably, if you're like me and if you're like most people, if you don't schedule it, it probably will never happen. One of the best things that I love to do is thinking about who are the people in my life that are most going to support this happening, and how can I schedule meetings with that person? How can I reach out and schedule a one-on-one? How can I reach out and say, hey, I would love to get together and talk about XYZ thing that I know you're really great at. Would you be willing to have that conversation with me? I guarantee you, if it's something that someone's really great at, they're going to be very excited to talk about it. So scheduling a virtual Zoom call with someone who you know is going to be a great support in that path, that is even better scheduling than just putting it on your calendar, because it can ping on your calendar and you notice it and you go right back to your phone or right back to your Amazon account or whatever the case may be. But if you have a meeting scheduled, you're much more likely to show up, and that's, of course, what we call accountability, but it's also what we call interdependence. It's also what we call being there for each other. So utilizing other people right now to help you reach your goals, because that's what it's all about. Okay, so remember, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling low, if you're feeling confused or anxious or discouraged or overwhelmed, do something. One of the best things you can do is do something. Get up, clean your house, walk around your house and say, what can I do around here? What are the little projects that have been sitting around that I've been, feeling bad that they haven't been undone forever? Just walk around, just do something, find something to do. Reach out to someone. Think to yourself, who is someone right now that I know could really use my help? Who is someone who is isolated at home, who I just would love to talk to? Who is someone who I haven't talked to for weeks or months or years? Who is someone from college that I'd like to reach out to? Who is just a good friend who I talk to all the time, but I'm just going to call them for no reason? And who is that person that maybe just could use some extra support because they are going through challenges right now? So again, getting your mind in that mode and thinking about those people and reaching out and making those connections is going to have a huge impact on you when you are in those low moments yourself. And it seems counterintuitive. It seems like the thing to do when you are depressed is to reach out and ask for help. And you should do that if you need it. Don't get me wrong. If you are depressed and you need help, reach out to someone who can support you. And also, when you are depressed, when you're low, when you're feeling low, if you start to think about who needs my help, that is a huge way of shifting, making a mental shift in your energy, in your mental state, and having you think about something outside of yourself, bigger than yourself. And again, switching that neurology in your brain. So your brain says, I'm not thinking of myself, so therefore everything must be okay. And you're really expanding beyond your own scope. Okay, so I hope this is helpful for everyone. Again, we have that Facebook group, the Health Optimization Duluth. Find that on the Dr. Lara Hill DC Facebook page under groups, or search for it in Facebook. Again, we have another Facebook Live coming up this coming Friday at noon, so please join us for that. That'll be about resiliency, the topic of resiliency. I absolutely love that idea of a topic about thriving in trying times. So that will be one not to miss. And then finally, if you do want to get a recording of that Taming the Stress Monster on stress and immune health, that Lunch and Learn that we did on Tuesday, you're going to want to register for the group. We'll get that for the Eventbrite. We'll get that link in the comments here as soon as we can. So just click on that link, register for that. You are going to want to do that by 5 o'clock tomorrow. By 5 o'clock tomorrow is when we're going to send out the recording. So do that ASAP. And then other than that, you make sure that you, if you're not already on our mailing list, get on our mailing list so that you can stay informed, and most importantly, get into that Facebook group. That's where we'll be communicating a lot of these things that are going out and happening, as well as all of us together sharing resources and connection and community and ways to thrive during this time. So thank you so much for giving me your time. I hope this has been a support for you. Please share it, like it, share it, pass it on to anyone that you feel that this would support during this time, anyone who you love and care about, and share this, because now is a time to be thinking of others, passing things on, and really helping everyone thrive as much as we can during these times. Okay, love you all.